Welcome to Subject to Change. Lauren and I are here with Nicole Snow of Darn Good Yarn.
Look at your awesome space.
People are like, is that a background? I'm like, no, this is my hoarding, my office where I hoard everything. So
It's like it's so much like fun stuff. Like everything's so colorful. I love it.
keeps me. Nice
Oh my gosh.
That's
Well,
funny.
I'm Lauren. It's really nice to meet you.
to meet you too.
And I'm
Thanks.
Jody, a Darn Good Yarn fan
Oh,
and
hi,
an
Jody.
addicted patron. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. When you see the little microphone in the lower right, click on that to learn more. We're so glad you're here.
I would even say, even in the craft industry, I mean, like, yes, we sell apparel as well, but crafting is like where, obviously, again, the hoarding, that's where my passion lies. And that's a $44 billion industry. Yeah, thank
I
you.
don't know what to
Oh,
do with these yet.
You have birchbark. Oh, we'll send you some patterns.
Okay. I got these. They have, Lauren, you can't see, they have inclusive beads in there. And I'm sorry, I totally derailed the conversation. Coming to a store near you.
We're about to go into 150 Joanne stores at the end of
Wow.
the year, which is awesome. Um,
That's amazing.
I'm so excited. It's 100% recycled silk product that's going to be on the shelves that I designed. So all the colorways, you're like, that's like my little happy thing there. But it's their first recycled silk product. Like, we're just a small company and there's just so much more opportunity. There's really big players in this space. How do we start to like rewrite that narrative?
Yeah.
When I go into a craft store, I mean, I'm sure we can all remember the time when you would go to your local health food store to get your gluten-free or it was really crunchy. And then all of a sudden you had your green aisle in your supermarket and you have Whole Foods, right? We don't have that green aisle yet. We don't have the place to get gluten-free yarn and organic
Right.
in your big box stores. There's a consumer conversation that's yet to happen in that industry. It's again $44 billion. To me, it's almost like the
That's
barn
a lot.
of fast fashion.
Yeah. And it's interesting. Like I don't know if you caught it because I have no poker face, but I cringed when you said Joann's. So apologies to anyone who goes to Joann's all the time, because I walk in there and everything there is plastic. Everything there is, let's buy this and make something that isn't going to be cherished and handed down generation to generation. It's quick crafting, right? It's quick crafting without, a lot of plastic wrap little things, but you're right. That's an established business that can access much broader, and having the story behind this yarn is going to change the relationship to it.
And
Or it did for me.
Their ESG strategies and working with businesses like mine. I mean, I've been really impressed as a small brand.
That's good.
There's some brands I'm like, we're not touching. They will steamroll us and it's too scary.
Yeah.
But Joann's has been, in particular, in terms of their inclusivity, like I've been, for it being a publicly traded company, I have been pretty impressed with them.
It's great to know. That's really great to know.
I feel like I'm trying to formulate my thought here, but I feel like you've done so much kind of to develop and work and play fair with the people that you're working with in your supply chain, but now you're a part of a larger supply chain. So like now I feel like you have to like do that work going forward, like not just the back end of it, but like protecting yourself and those people. So do you have concerns over that? Or
I would have had concerns about it if it came any sooner in the business. Very early, like I think people ask me at least once a year, like, oh, Nicole, when are you going to go into Michael's, or when are you going to this box store, that big box store? At that, like at every single point in time up to this point, our supply chain, we would have broken our supply chain. Because we have scaled in a sustainable way that is, it's not just like, hey, we need 10,000 of this, and like you just crack it over the top of the head to your suppliers. We've learned to layer that in. Joanne's knows what we are too. I think that's what, like, that's where I'm like, okay, this could actually work, because they're not like the really big box brands. I'm not even going to say their name because I'll probably get to, but
I understand.
I think
but it's like they will come back, and they will just penalize the small business, and then that's where the small business get into trouble. There are retailers I will not partner with for that reason. So I think it's all in how you enter into that partnership.
It can be a market play.
I think that large companies that are just starting to step into the ESG realm, understanding what carbon neutral is, like stuff that I think is probably common dinner talk for us, is now just starting to come into the boardrooms in a way that I think is led by more of the inclusivity movement that we've seen, like that rose up through COVID. And then they're like, okay, wait, there's this whole market, and it's really a market play. And they're trying to figure out how to do it. I think the danger, just like in food, right, is you have to watch out for greenwashing. Like, I feel like we're the OGs. Like, I always say we've taken a product made out of trash, we turned it into something else. We're selling probably one of the most difficult things online because it's all a little bit different and funky. And it's very easy, I think, for a larger company to come in and use very fancy marketing to kind of undermine the hard work that's been laid down by the small guys. I mean, I think, again, you've seen this in probably the natural food, the OGs that were like truly organic, and then they just kind of get washed away. So that's a risk in our industry.
Appreciating uniqueness. It's fascinating to me because you touched on something that I hadn't thought through yet, and that is that especially handmade crafted yarns, natural fibers are, especially created from waste, are incredibly unique. And what people have gotten used to over the last 50 years anyway is things being uniform, and when you say blue, it's the same blue throughout the whole thing, throughout every single skein. It's even a challenge for a lot of knitters and crocheters to deal with dye lots, right? But you've actually transcended all of that and said every single skein is unique. Every single color is the color it is. Every single skirt is different. There is nothing that I've seen on your site that is going to be the same if I order 3 of them. You know, they're not going to be the same.
I appreciate you saying transcended, because I just say they have to deal with it or they can go buy somewhere else.
You transcend it, and it's powerful. It's powerful in the sustainability discussion. It's powerful in the business discussion because efficiency is the antithesis of what nature does. Nature is very, very messy and very complex and very individual in every single thing that she does. And we can't control that, so we hate it. But this is a really good image of that. It's going to help the food industry. It's going to help I'm an architect, the design and construction industry, when we know that we can't just take one thing and do the same thing over there, you know?
Yeah.
Thank you. That's really cool.
Thank you. I drive my CFO nuts with inventory, but you know, we make a lot of processes, but it works.
There are definitely ups and downs. No, I get that. It's got to be a huge. Now, that's another question. How did your relationship to your business have you how has that changed over the last 15 years?
I'm laughing because it's had its ups and downs. I mean, for sure. There are days when I go and I think about what it was like when I was smaller, and it's easier. I mean, I have employees now, and I have a CFO, I have all these big girl business things, and I think there's heartache with that, because you go into, I think, when you look at people who have origins of businesses like mine, right? It's a passion project. They're going in with the best of intentions. And then, you know, there is dilution that happens along the way, I think, amongst the ranks. So, you know, you get a couple bad employees and it just puts that bad taste in your mouth. And And all of a sudden you're having to, remit sales tax in all of the states. And like, then you're getting into like the business stuff. And so it kind of does take away from the creativity side of it. I think my big opportunity right now is, and I'm working on it, is to reconfigure my leadership team. There's only 7 of us now, but just really empower them to do the day-to-day so I can get back to the strategy of the business. I'm wearing all of the hats. So that's intense. And
it's intense. Scaling a business.
I'm a small business owner and I'm in the process of like kind of forcing myself to scale up. And I think one of the hardest things that I'm personally dealing with is this idea of, one, being responsible for other people's livelihoods, but 2, feeling like I'm going to have a loss of the design control.
I think if there is, are you familiar with EOS as a system, a business system? So. I wish I knew about it when I was where you were, because EOS is a management system, allows you to really define hierarchy, but while you're still scaling up, like, yes, people will be wearing maybe multiple hats within your structure, but it will give you clear definition of who should be doing what. If I had it to do over again, I wish I did that and said, okay, the creative direction, the strategy of the company needs to be squarely with me. I should not be touching HR. I should not be touching these other things. I wish I had gusto when I first started. Back in the day, I had to like go to each state and hire people. And it was again, y'all have it easy now with Shopify and Gusto. It makes it easy for a business owner.
Yeah, I've never heard of Gusto, actually. I've heard of Shopify.
Oh, Gusto is like it's an awesome HR platform.
Oh,
for
that's great.
Businesses. Oh. So you can do so it integrates in with QuickBooks, and you run all your 99, all of your employee stuff through, keeps you in compliance. The compliance side of it is like where I go to die. I can't stand it. But I guess with EOS though, I would encourage you to read the book Traction by, I think it's Gino Wickman. He starts to get into that. But EOS itself will help you get a framework. But then if you're into planning, you could say, you know what, in 6 months, these things, because they live in this seat, need to come off. So I remain in this place where I am most passionate.
Any thoughts on B-Corp?
I went for my B-Corp years ago. We were qualified to do it. It was the price tag for me. And
yeah, I can imagine.
Hear that a lot.
And that's it sucks. And like I'm actually asking my CFO to have us go back and like, let's just get certified and do that. But
it's hard.
The direct to consumer market is a hard place right now. I mean, people are like, oh, through COVID, you must have kicked butt. I'm like, no, the big guys kick butt. They took all of their in-store advertising and they put it onto the digital platform, which is, that's what I've been doing up to this point. We just like, we stayed flat through COVID.
Oh, wow.
And it's a different work environment now. Like the small business, some people are crushing it. Like you have industries that are just like rocking and rolling. But I'm watching people in my industry, like they're closing the doors. XRX just announced this week, after 40 years in business, they went out. The ones who do the Stitches events. So these are big parts of our industry, like gone. When it comes to B-Corp, I always struggle with this is, do I pay this huge thing to have a stamp? Because I know what I'm doing, right?
You know what you're doing.
And it's hard, but some people need and want that stamp. But I can tell you that if something happens with one of my suppliers, like during COVID, one of our suppliers, he couldn't get any PPE for his workers. You know what Darn Good Yarn did? We paid for 2 pallets to be air freighted over to India. Let me tell you, during COVID, that was not the most inexpensive thing we've ever done.
No, that's great.
And you say like, okay, $10,000 there or $10,000 to get the certification. I just always struggle with it because I'm privately funded. If you don't make payroll, you know who's writing the check in? it's me into the company.
And Nicole, what should we focus on?
I would want them to see exactly how the world's true poor is living. I think every young person before the age of 25 should go to a third world country and get embedded in it and really, really see what's up. Understand every purchase decision, understand what they're asking for when they're asking for a lower price, what that actually means.
Mm-hmm. My mom used to work for Laubach Literacy, specifically in the women in literacy group. And they were international, and she spent a lot of time in Asia, so parts of China, parts of India, and she would bring back, I didn't get to go with her, I was tiny, but you know, she would bring these photos back, and even just seeing and hearing her stories, you know, that they would go to these rural parts of China and they would buy bikes because that's how everybody got around, and then they would like give their bikes away at the end of their trip to somebody in one of the villages, and how the people were just so, you know, amazed. And my mom had blonde hair, and like how they would react to her and everything. Like, it's just, I agree with you. I want to do it. I think it would be valuable for me today in my 40s to go see it and understand it.
So we talked about how chaos brings opportunity in a way. And how you had a moment of revelation when you broke a couple of ribs, and then you realized you had to let some things go. Well, that's really easy for us to say because we have enough going on that we can let things go. There are people who are riding on that razor's edge every single day. So I really appreciate that reminder. So, wrapping up. This has been great. Thank you so much. I will continue to be a fangirl of Darn Good Yarn. And I might even
sometimes think I started a cult, but you know.
Well,
I'm gonna tell my mom about it. She's a knitter, so I'm gonna.
Oh my God.
You know.
And you're at the Troy Farmers Market, and you're probably at other farmers markets, and you're going to be in Joann's soon. So watch out for Darn Good Yarns.
Yeah, thank you. But fun evolution. Because I've always envisioned Darn Good Yarn. Like if I could have an experience where we have like, almost like if you go to a brewery for a tour.
Oh yeah.
But we have like dye gardens built in. And like, so you're growing things in there. You're having these workshops. You're having like these walking path ground sort of things. Like that would be like Darn Good Yarn 2040 or something like that.
That's amazing. Very cool.